Okay. Hi everyone, this is Group 5 and our report is about that we assume Facebook will have the idea of acquiring United Technologies, and we will elaborate this report from three main parts. So from the beginning is the introduction. Click please. Yes, this report aims to explore Meta platform strategic considerations for the future growth of the company in conjunction with Meta's M&A strategy. This report will provide a brief overview of the strategic, financial, and implementation considerations of a possible M&A transaction for Meta. Finally, the report will provide conclusions and briefly summarize the report's recommendations. And the first part is strategy part.
Okay, so I will start our paper with the strategic analysis. In this part, we will use the SWOT analysis, which stands for strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat that Meta is facing. So on the first left corner is strength. One of the biggest strength that Meta is having is a well-diversified portfolio. In business, we all know that diversification helps offset losses from one department by gains from others, which helps to retain a good and stable source of revenue. Indeed, Meta has made several acquisitions from social platform like WhatsApp, Instagram, Messenger, to virtual reality like Oculus, to business tool like workplaces, etc. This significant number of acquisitions make Meta's business so diverse that the firm-specific risks are mostly diversified away. Second, it also has some weaknesses despite. Although Meta has several range of features that other platforms do not have, it is still vulnerable in mobile platform competition as compared to other competitors like Apple or Microsoft, who do not only have their own applications but also have own devices for the operation of such applications. Next, we consider opportunities that Meta is having. First, it has the opportunity to expand market to gaming industry. In fact, gaming industry is booming with billions of new users joining the industry, and these new joiners are also willing to spend more money in game than the existing players. Next could be a new wave of computing and potential of the metaverse. As briefly mentioned in the weakness, Meta is vulnerable to Apple and Microsoft in the mobile platform competition. However, if Meta successfully brings metaverse to life, it can create a platform for users which is heavily dependent on the virtual reality technology that no longer have to depend on mobiles from Apple and Microsoft. That said, Meta still face a threat from other competitors, specifically Microsoft, in the metaverse competition. In fact, Microsoft also invested heavily in metaverse, and it has announced to roll out a new product called Mesh for Microsoft Team in 2022, aiming to make meetings more personal, engaging, and fun. And it also has the intention to attract more and more users to the metaverse. Next slide, please. And in response to these opportunities and threats, it is evident that Meta has a huge potential in the development of VR and AR technology to bring metaverse to the table. We've been talking about metaverse, but no formal definition of metaverse has been given. So, in definition, metaverse is a virtual world where people can join with a 3D avatar, they can command, and it lets them create and explore new worlds, socialize, and play with their friends from a distance, but as if they were physically together. And in building up the metaverse, Meta has heavily invested in both making use of its current specialist team and also acquiring the potential VR companies. And speaking of the potential acquisition target for the VR companies, our group suggests that Meta can consider acquiring Unity Technologies company, which is a game engine company. More specifically, Unity is also the largest global development platform for creating 2D, 3D, VR, and AR games and experiences. It has also received more adoption from different industries, and right now, Unity Technologies served over 5.5 million registered developers around the world. Next slide, please. In acquiring Unity, we envisage that Meta will benefit from three dimensions. First, it can speed up the arrival of metaverse and bring the unique experience of interfacial interaction. If Unity is acquired, it can provide Meta with extensive number of experienced developers to create core tools that necessary for the creation of metaverse. In addition, Unity also helps Meta build world-class VR and AR experiences that are required to compete with other competitors, um, especially thanks to the unique characteristic from the Unity, including the 3D content, interactivity, and real-timeness. Second, Unity increases Meta's ability to ensure that other platform companies also support their platform services. So in the situation that Meta owns Unity, then Android, Windows, and iOS, we all need Meta to support them on a larger portions of their ecosystems. And this dependence from other platform companies gives Meta a competitive advantage as it can decide whether or not it will offer the support or not. And if so, how deep will the support is and how much it can get from the acceptance to support. And lastly, Unity can provide huge potential for synergies post-acquisition. In fact, Matt Jacobot has already considered acquiring Unity since 2015, and recently Unity partnered with Meta for in-app bidding. And given this steady interaction between two companies, we deem that the acquisition between two companies are feasible. And Unity has a strong connection with the gaming industry, which is currently a star for Meta's business right now. Hence, the acquisition of Unity could realize significant synergies for Meta, as well as boost Meta Facebook gaming to the next level. Next, please.
This is financial part. We to provide a rough estimate of United values. A DCF model is used, as you can see on the slide. And as you can see in the table, the growth rate of FCF in the 5-year period is 69.4%, and the perpetual growth rate is 2.5%, and the discount rate is about 7.15%. And all the data source comes from Yahoo Financial, and Alpha Spread. We found that the average WACC of technology companies in 2021 is 8.9%, and apparently the WACC of our tech company is slightly lower than the sector average. It indicates that the market value of United Technologies is quite high, and it aligns with our expectation of this company. And next, please. And as shown in the tables, we use the DCF model combined with the data found on the website to estimate the company's cash flow to obtain the final DCF value. And as you can see, the DCF result is on the slide. Next, please. Combined with this table, the final result also implies that the high estimate of United Technologies' 5-year net growth rate is quite reliable. United Technologies, the world's leader in creating and operating VR and 3D content, has acquired a number of companies over the past year, including tools, technology, and talent. It appears that our tech company is expanding their business and they are actively developing aggressively. Next, please.
I will continue the financial analysis in payment method part. First, we already know there are main 3 types of M&A financing, but in our cases, we're going to combine the shares and seller financing for the following reasons. Next slide, please. Firstly, we want to say about the cash payment. Cash from the cash flow of the Facebook, it is obvious that Facebook has the sufficient amount of cash flow in recent 3 years, and it could be an option. But according to, but we consider the share purchase as the more efficient way to finance the money for the following reasons. First is the Facebook's PE ratio of 2020 is 22.5, which is higher than the average of companies in the interactive media and services industry, which is 19.7. And it indicates that the higher value of market price of Facebook, so it makes stock-to-stock purchasing more interesting. Besides, our target company, Unity Technologies, also showed good performance during the recent 3 years. It shows both growing trend of revenue and gross profit from its income statement. So it gave rise to share exchange rather than cash. Meanwhile, also we can see from the chart, the Facebook shows the upward trend in the most recent month in the stock market, so it makes share exchange more likely. And secondly, we also consider the seller financing as our payment method, mainly because Facebook is the business that have excellent cash flow, as I mentioned previously, but with very few tangible assets. So seller financing is a highly important source of financing and way to close the gap between what a seller wants and a buyer is willing to pay on the purchase price. So Meta as a buyer may be willing to pay the seller's asking price if a portion is deferred because the buyer recognizes that the loan will reduce the purchase price in present or current value terms. So we believe that seller financing is also a good method of payment in this industry. Thank you.
Lastly, we will also look at the integration and implementation plan, looking more at the practical issues surrounding this deal. After Facebook rebranded to Meta, they also implemented a new structure. This new structure is first applicable for the first quarter reportings of 2022. However, due to the fact that we believe Meta is transitioning towards a metaverse company as well as the Facebook company, we can see that even though Meta is only 3% of its revenue in the first quarter with the Reality Labs segment and 97% of revenue in the family of apps, we have done the calculations, and with the addition of Unity to Reality Labs, the share evens out a little bit to 4.5%. Furthermore, we would move Facebook Gaming to the reality segments as well, raising the revenue and evening it out even further. And if we go to the next slide, we will see that Reality Labs would include Unity, the metaverse companies, Facebook Horizon, which has already been transferred from Live family of apps to Reality Labs. And this would indicate not just for financial reporting, but also show that Facebook is really transitioning and is committed to this. Another aspect is the cultural fit. Unity's values are very specific. They aim to democratize gaming. Furthermore, this is related due to the fact that their personnel is very engaged and innovative. We know that if the cultures between the two companies that merge together does not work, that it can go horribly wrong, as we saw with Amazon and Whole Foods. Therefore, it is important to retain the personnel that Meta desperately needs in order to improve its innovativeness. Luckily, Unity and Meta have already worked together in the form of Unity Ads, which is a strategic partnership that started last year. We believe the people involved in this should also be involved with the post-merger integration project. Additionally, the location of the two headquarters is the same. It is near Silicon Valley, which means that personnel does not have to move over, improving the retention rate of the personnel. Lastly, we've seen that Meta's track record compared to concerning the acquisitions show that they give a lot of autonomy to the companies they acquired due to the fact that they benefit from the increased synergies and the related diversification of their acquisitions. Lastly, we will look at the challenges and the goals.
For the last part, exit strategies and challenges are considered. Although the aforementioned aspects look promising, there is always the possibility that a trade will fail because the trade does not go as planned. Therefore, it is important to evaluate possible pitfalls and develop a contingency plan. One of the biggest possible pitfalls we have identified is the threat of blocked merger or spin-offs. For example, regulators may be uneasy with Meta acquiring another large technology company as they might believe Meta has already evolved into a monopoly. This could be partly alleviated by dividing the company in segments as Unity is not a direct competitor of Meta. And also, criticisms and controversies toward Metaverse could be a challenge. They have responsibilities for virtual reality interactions. However, in early February, a woman shared her experience how she was sexually assaulted with Meta's Horizon World. Zuckerberg commented about this problem, and Meta is implementing a feature that would prevent this from happening. For the last, as Unity has growing revenues and is considered one of the most innovative companies, as an exit strategy in the case of Meta having to sell the company shouldn't be the problem. One more way of dealing with a worst-case scenario would be to spin off one of the brands in the family of apps segments. As Meta's leadership is strongly committed to realizing the metaverse, they might prioritize this over keeping on the brands. Thank you for watching.